Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls.
Hey Rebels, this is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, the interview. I'm your host, Anna, and today we're talking to Miriam Haart. She narrated the story of Kathy Hackle, a tech entrepreneur known as the godmother of the metaverse. If you haven't heard that episode yet, you might want to do that first. Hey Miriam, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, I'm Miriam Haart. I'm an app engineer, host of the Faking It podcast, girl power influencer, and star in the hit Netflix series My Unorthodox Life.
Very cool. And can you tell us about how you got interested in tech yourself?
I grew up in a very religious community in upstate New York. I decided that I wanted to pursue computer science and build cool apps. And I found my way moving to San Francisco when I was 16 years old to pursue computer science.
So, would you say you were always interested in computers and building things?
I love to build things, and my mom would always get so many groceries that we would have so many cardboard boxes stacked up in the garage. I would take those cardboard boxes and make things out of them. One of the inventions that I made was called a fan conditioner. I attached all these different cardboard boxes over a branch on a tree, and I was able to pull a string and air would blow at me. It was amazing during those hot summer days.
I love that. And can you tell us if you have any role models or mentors?
One of my role models is Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. She is a feminist philosopher from Mexico in the 1600s. What makes her so cool is that she just had this deep desire to learn, despite what everyone said to her. She decided to become a nun so she can spend her days in the library studying for the sake of learning. I think she is so inspirational and encourages me to learn just to simply know.
Ooh, I have to look her up. Okay, so speaking of role models, you brought us the story of tech entrepreneur Kathy Hackle. What does her story mean to you?
One of the ways that I connected with Kathy's story was the desire to build a world that you wanted to see. Kathy felt this deep instinct, this deep desire to create and build a world that she didn't feel represented in. Instead of saying, "This is hard," she said, "What can we do?" Instead of sitting in the frustration, she ideated a new reality of what can be. All of us have this inside of us. We all have the capabilities to create what we want to see in this world. And that is how I connected with Kathy's story and how I'm connecting with you all too.
That is awesome. Thank you. I love how you talk about connection, especially with technology. What does technology mean to you?
When I think of technology, I think of it like a superpower. Technology gives a voice to the voiceless. Anyone who wants to see something that has never existed before, they get to go on their computer and actually create it into existence. They can ideate, prototype, and then build anything. Technology is a superpower that allows the voiceless to have a voice, and that is what excites me about technology.
Ooh, a superpower. I love that. And where do you think technology will go in like 100 years?
I think that technology in 100 years will rapidly increase the pace of innovation. Think about it. In the 1800s, people were able to communicate through their words or through sending letters. Conversation was slow. Once texting came around, once phone calling came around, conversations increased and therefore innovation increased too. Once we were able to communicate with people just by simply thinking about talking to them through our minds, that is when innovation will exponentially increase and technology will increase with it.
Whoa, mind reading, or mind talking, I guess. Okay, here's a fun one. What would you say is a superpower or hidden talent of yours?
When I was 11 years old, I was inside of the Hershey's store in Times Square. And I remember a magician came up to me, a female magician, and handed me a deck of cards. In that moment, I knew I wanted to learn card tricks to be just like her. So one of my secret talents is I can do tons of card tricks. They are so much fun to do.
Oh my goodness, I want to see. Okay, and finally, Miriam, what makes you a rebel girl?
What makes me a rebel is that I don't try to think about life being inside the circle or thinking outside of the box. I act as if no box exists. When I see technology, I don't look at what people are doing with it or what I can do that's different. I just simply look at it as a tool to do anything. Being a rebel is about daring to do differently, using technology to learn, walking outside and understanding things. Being a rebel is about looking within and listening to yourself and loving yourself. That is what makes me a rebel.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebel Girl.
This podcast is a production of Rebel Girls. It's based on the book series Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. This episode was produced and directed by Deborah Goldstein, with sound design and mixing by John Marshall Media. It was written and edited by Abby Sher. Joy Smith and Jess Wolfe were our executive producers. Original theme music was composed and performed by Elettra Bargiacchi. A special thanks to the whole Rebel Girls team who make this podcast possible. Until next time, stay rebel!